Well, welcome back again, my music people of Africa. Now, the Malema of South Africa has vowed to bring Africa continent, unite them together, that no matter what is going to take him, that he's going to bring them, that his mission and vision is to bring Africa, especially the black, together and make them to stand strong together against the common enemy. Look at the reaction that is coming from him and drop your sincere and a polite comment. Note that my channel does not support violence or hate speech on this channel.
Don't vote for me. I don't want that vote. I don't want a xenophobic vote. I love my African people the same way I love my mother and my grandmother. I'm in love with Africans. Africans are hated everywhere. You go to America, the black skin is a source of hatred. You go to UK, a black skin is a source of hatred. You asking me to join in the hatred of black people. I know what the hatred of my skin did during apartheid. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be asked that I should stand at the border, at the fence between Limpopo and Zimbabwe and block a mother who's carrying a child, only crossing to get a medication in Musina and going back to Zimbabwe because there is a problem in Zimbabwe. I refuse to join that chorus. And if that will not make me the president of this country, I'm happy that let me die with my conscience being clear than being a president who has emerged through selling out his own soul. Nobody asked me to feel like this. I feel very strongly about black people. I feel very strong about African continent. And I would rather not be a president because I know for a fact that this is an establishment that is spreading this anti-blackness that we experience everywhere else. It's not true. There's jobs in the restaurants. These Lesotho women who are working in our houses. Our sisters don't want to work there. They've gone to schools. They want quality jobs. Not that they look down on these jobs. They are saying, I cannot, with a diploma, with N6, with qualifications, go and be a domestic worker. We want more. Who wants to go and work and be paid with wine in the Cape Farms? Who wants to do that of South Africans? Let me and you take trucks and buses now and go and fetch those foreigners who are working there during harvesting season in the Cape wines. Let's go and take them and let's see what's going to happen to those Cape wines. All of those grapes are going to get rotten because our people will never agree to work in exchange for wine. Never will I. Nothing will persuade me, not the results of the elections, not a gun on my head, not any form of intimidation will persuade me to hate on black people. I will never hate on Africans, not even for votes. Do not vote for me if you don't love Africans and you want me to hate them. I won't do that.
We don't want visas. We want one currency for Africa because our currency can be more powerful than the pound and the dollar combined, because London has got the biggest storage of gold, yet they don't have a single smallest mine of gold. Their economy is based on our minerals, and if we safeguard our minerals and protect them and say out of these minerals we are producing a currency that is going to compete internationally, we stand a good chance. We need African Central Bank. We need African Monetary Zone. We need African military combat, because these pockets of wars that are happening in Africa are not of our own making. They are sponsored wars so that those who continue to steal our resources can do so uninterrupted as we fight ourselves, amongst ourselves. So we need a military, a common defense system, the African High Command that will ensure the stability and security of Africa. We equally need a Biden.
If you want to go to Nigeria to go and try some business opportunities or anything of that sort, wake up in the morning and go. Why are the Europeans allowed to do it? They eat breakfast in Milan in Italy and go and sleep in Paris without a hassle. And we are not allowed because the unity of Africa is a threat to certain people. And they say, no, these foreigners take our jobs and all of that. I say, if we find a foreigner working here at Kaya FM, he didn't employ himself. He was employed by the bosses here. So you cannot fight this one. You have to fight the bosses that we must be given a preference. Let's not allow them to make us fight amongst ourselves because they enjoy that. They hire foreigners and then they come to you and say, you can't get jobs because foreigners have taken jobs all over. But who employs these people? It's the same people who are saying foreigners have taken jobs.
I invite Honorable Julius Malema from South Africa. You have the floor.
Thanks very much, Vice President, and thank you very much, President, for the report. I think our problem starts with the titling of the report because you call it an activity report. And therefore, by calling it activity report, it means that you are asking the President to come and present the diary of what he has done, where he has been and all that. And I don't know if that is in terms of the rules and the constitution that constitutes this body. Because ordinarily we should be getting the state of Africa through the President. And the state of Africa will then include politics of our continent, the economy of our continent, and the security of our continent. The politics of that state of Africa will, amongst other things, tell us if we are achieving the strategic objective of this institution, or we just talk about which countries we visited and how many days we have spent there and how much we have spent. That is a degeneration. It's not politics. I think that we are forgetting that gathering here, we are politicians. And at all times we must speak politics on how do we reposition Africa as an equal partner in the geopolitics of this world. So the degeneration of diary times and delegations and money is actually an insult to this institution and to the people of Africa. So I think that as we go forward, Mr. President, we may have to retitle this report and we may have to write it differently. For instance, it can't be a report of 3 months. It has to be a report of your term from the last 3 years. When you got in, what were the resolutions? What was your mandate? Have you achieved that mandate for the? So it's an incorporation of everything else you have been reporting in between since the election and the new elections. But equally, the President should not hesitate to start this type of a meeting with this type of a report because you ought to set the tone. You cannot speak at the end. You ought to speak much, much more earlier so that you gave the meeting direction and were able to say, this is where we are, this is where we come from, how do we move forward? I hate a situation where I meet with politicians and we discuss diaries and human resource. We cannot be discussing human resource from a president. We must be discussing politics, and that's why there are cracks. That's why there is no clear explanation of where, if you pardon me, Chair, there's no clear explanation of how far are we with regard to the people of Western Sahara, how far are we with issues of terrorism in our continent and all of that. Why? Because you think those are not important issues. You ought to narrow yourself down to more technical and administrative issues, and politics take a back seat. If you want to be those types of politicians that are obsessed with human resource, you must know you are failing this continent.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Now we are at the end of our discussion.